Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching our show. We've got a lot of great sports to talk about. For all of you watching us on Comcast 7 here in Bethel Park, thanks. Everybody else on Verizon 32 all over the area. We keep getting reports they're watching us, so it's great to hear that. I want to thank Bethel Park for letting us have this show. Dave Cable for putting up our other show so quick, and I heard he had an assist with John the intern who's on the cameras. They locked us in here again, so be safe here, John. Thanks for your help. And we still don't have our 500 likes. We're at, I think, 483 or 482. Somebody's still waiting to hit number 500, so we hope it happens shortly. Now, if you're going to watch the Pirate game, we understand that.
8:15 is when it
That's,
starts.
yeah. Just wanted to tell you the times are different. They're available because last night the rumor was it'd be during our game, but it's not.
You know, we got some connections.
Definitely. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Zach Little Z Brenner Contracting. Mini Me Z is trying to crowd Smoking Jim out again, but Smoking Jim made it on time. Plenty of time, matter of fact. 3 minutes and 38 seconds. He was here. Now we're going to go to What's on Our Mind. Little Z, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, I'm going to tell the folks at home what's on my mind. In the paper, I won't.
What
I
paper
scratched
do you
out
have?
the name because we're not getting anything from them, so I scratched out the name. But in today's newspaper,
Is
I
that
read
a Pittsburgh
disturbing,
Sportsline paper?
Yeah, official.
Hot off the press. I like it. I've been talking about it. I'll bring my
right here.
and your humble reporters.
His humble minions.
Well, as I was saying,
go ahead,
I read a
Z.
disturbing article here on the front page, which has a picture that shows Lamar Woodley trying to teach Jarvis Jones something about the position, and it just absolutely scared me to death. I feel like Lamar Woodley should spend more time worrying about getting his own game on track than trying to teach this young man who has a better chance of doing it on his own than paying attention to Lamar Woodley. So that's something that disturbed me, and
Is that all that was on your mind?
well, right this second, that's all that was on my mind.
Well, that's a pretty good one because I'm worried about Woodley just in general too.
Exactly,
So-
but if we could ever get a close up on this, they do a good job for all the other
Devin's
stuff.
here. He can do it. Why? Oh, so can John. I don't know what happened to John.
Zooming in.
And you know, just to sneak that in too.
Who's
The
that?
Clareton Bears are in camp.
I knew you'd say it because you sitting next to Smoking
How many
Jim.
games have they won in a row?
A lot, 63 and counting.
63 and counting. Yes, sir.
Well, there you go. We got fiction, no fact. Oh, that's a fact. Smoking Jim's next to you. All right, thanks, Little Z. Appreciate your insights. You covered a couple things. Now we got Smoking Jim Frazier. I know you mustn't have had a rough trip because you made it here a little early. So, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine.
Z got a pen too.
And you know what? My fiction, in fact, with Smoking Jim's Almanacs is a little long today. So, if you will permit, I'll
Oh,
break
you're
it up.
too early, buddy. This
Yeah.
is what's on your mind.
Yeah.
Hold it. You're not used to being here. You're not used to being here for a start. You know, hold it, folks. We got to call a timeout on the show. Since I get to produce it, I could say timeout. Hold it, buddy. I didn't give you a good promo. You come here so early. You're so rested. He's so laid back right now, and he never sleeps. Now, our beginning segment for all you new folks out there, because I think there's 2 or 3 out here that haven't seen the show. We do what's on our mind, like certain topics, or sometimes he does draft picks. I'm trying to give you a little time to think about it. Or he talks about writing a book, because this book is going to be #1 in the world. Sports book.
Did
All
we
right,
get
now
the
you
number
back.
one
What's
draft
on
pick?
your mind?
But I wanted to kind of break that up into two segments because it's
Okay.
going to be a little
Well, you
long.
got to tell me when you change
Yeah,
these
my
things.
fault.
'Cause
Just kinda
I thought you were in a
about that.
daze.
So it's going to be kind of long, so I'll try to break it up in 2 segments and make it
Okay.
real quick. But
No, take your time.
a couple of weeks ago, I don't like going back down memory lane, but a couple of weeks ago when I seen my great friend Butch Ramsey, who I haven't seen for 20 years, it made me get a little nostalgia. Is that a word?
Yes, it is.
You could be nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
Nostalgic,
Because
okay.
little Z
Nostalgia.
reads a dictionary every day, whether he needs to or not. Thanks, Lois. I'm glad you bought him that for his birthday. She told me she got you a book.
But the thing is, you know, when I was being recruited to college, it was kind of a unique situation. I was being recruited probably by the #1 recruiter in the country. Prior to me showing up on campus, the 2 previous recruiting classes, they recruited over 100 players.
Wow.
Now, most of them weren't scholarship athletes, maybe partial scholarships here and there, but the year I came in, they called it the Terrific 25. And me and my roommate were only 2 scholarship athletes out of that group, but we came in and it was and I tell you what, Al, I had so much money when I went to college. It was crazy.
Were they paying you back then?
Well, we'll just say this, that my dad was a steel worker, so in the summers I worked in a steel mill.
Oh, okay.
And my mom would bank my paychecks.
Which steel mill?
Well, I don't want to. It's leveled now, but and then in the fall, when I would go to school, I was on full scholarship, and then I would go out and still get a maximum student loan. And anybody knows about that. What you do is you take the money to the financial aid office, and they would see that you didn't owe anything, and they would endorse the check back to you. So I had all that money, and then I had a work-study job, which was about $100 every 2 weeks, and I still don't know what I did, but the checks came in.
Studying in general.
There you go. And I had an uncle that worked for Pittsburgh Brewing, and
Don't tell me you worked there too.
well, on spring breaks and Christmas breaks and stuff like that, I would work at Pittsburgh Brewing, and then I was on book scholarship, and I would take 18 credits, which is 6 classes.
Okay.
And I would get vouchers for all those books. I would buy the books, and then I would drop 3 classes.
Hold it. So you read books back in the day?
I would drop 3 classes.
Oh, okay.
So I would resell those 3 books back to the school, and the books averaged about $100 each. So I made about another $300 to $400 just on books. And to make a long story short,
No, go on, 'cause you got people interested
Okay,
in this now.
this is
I'm
good
interested
stuff.
now.
So, and then of course, part of the scholarship was meal ticket, and all you could eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then the coach would give me and my roommate a stack of vouchers to go to the student union every month. Give us 30 to get a free steak, hoagie, fries, and a drink. But anywho, the 2 reasons why I went to the school that I went to was, 1, they promised me that I would start as a true freshman.
Okay.
And 2, I had recruiting visits to Marshall, West Virginia, and Pitt. And in my senior year in high school, I was 157 pounds, and my dream was to play for Pitt, and they said I was too small. Well, our JV team played Pitt's JV team, so that was part of the ticket, that I would play against Pitt and make them pay the price for not recruiting me. Well, I was the only freshman to start, and when it was time for our JVs to play Pitt, they wouldn't let me play, and our JVs lost 48-6. And so as I wind down part 1 of this,
Okay.
Butch Ramsey was the next recruiting class. And when that class came in, they were the greatest class in the history of the school. They had 3
this
big.
is Cal U.
They had
The
3 big.
Vulcans.
They had 3 big 33 players, 5
Wow.
all-state players, about 10 all WPIL players, and some outstanding guys. And when they played Pitt's JV team, and none of those guys started as a true freshman, but when they played Pitt's JV team at Pitt Stadium, they lost 14-8, and Pitt never scheduled them again. So as we pick that back up on
Part 2.
I'll finish the story.
I can't wait. First of all, you said you're a general studies guy. You were doing what they call exotic trading in the markets with money. That takes people
He
years.
should have wrote a book just on that.
Exactly, and I'm
That would have
taking
been a
notes.
bestseller right there. You talk about, and it wouldn't even have took him long to write it.
No,
The way he just told this right here, he could have did this effortlessly. And with technology now, you can speak into something and it'll put the words up for you. So you don't actually have to type now.
I gotta get that.
Well, we'll go to part 2 when we can, and that's a heck of a story. But they do go to school to get an education and use those books. All right, let's find out from Chip the Prophet Hayner. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Well, in honor of Jim's degree in general studies, I visited the general for dinner tonight. I had General So's. But first thing on my mind, I want to recognize 1995. Today was the day that Mickey Mantle lost his battle with cancer. One of the greatest ball players that ever played the game, and had he not destroyed his knee tripping over a sprinkler head, probably would have outperformed DiMaggio and many of the other great Yankees. This guy had natural talent, could run like a gazelle, could hit a baseball further than you could imagine, and he had it all. He did battle demons with bouts with alcoholism and everything, but he was truly one of the great ball players and one of the great Yankees of all time. So a little shout out to him. And also I want to give a little recognition to my friend Tiger Woods. Once again, he failed miserably in a major golf tournament. As I have stated on more than one occasion, Al has dubbed me the prophet, and I prophesied that Tiger would be 0-18 in major tournaments, and he'll never win another major tournament in his golf career. And we'll pick this one back up again next.
We'll be revisiting you.
He goes to go and play at Augusta. But what's really on my mind, and I really wasn't going to go here tonight, and I touched on this a little bit last night, but I read something on the internet that just got my blood boiling again. And Pete Rose got his name all over the airwaves yesterday because over the weekend he was being interviewed on by one of the local talk show hosts on The Fan, and he was feeling sorry for himself, and he was crying, boo-hoo, I've been banned for life from the Hall of Fame, and I belong in the Hall of Fame, and they let the drug addicts and the alcoholics get a second chance, and he said, he picked the wrong vice. And he made some type of disparaging comment about spousal abuse. Maybe if I would have beat up my wife or my girlfriend, that I would have been given a second chance. And I thought that was a really poor taste, and I spoke to that last night. Well, the thing that really got me fired up is that he put out a half-hearted apology because of all the backlash from this. Because Pete Rose at this point, he's going to do anything to try to get back in the Hall of Fame, and he'll kiss whatever butt that comes by. But, here's what the thing is. Pete Rose is never going to be in the Hall of Fame. He should never be in the Hall of Fame. He's, no better than A-Rod. He's a liar, and he's a cheat. And, the whole thing about Pete Rose is this guy was just such a jerk. He was so arrogant that when he accepted the lifetime ban from baseball, here's the reason why he accepted the lifetime ban. He told his attorneys, go ahead and accept the lifetime ban. I'm Pete Rose. They'll reinstate me in a year because I'm Pete Rose, because I live by a different set of rules. The rules that the rest of the world have to live by don't apply to me because I'm Pete Rose. Well, he was sadly wrong. And I think the best thing that baseball could do, and the best thing I think Bud Selig did, and I've been highly critical of him, is not let Pete Rose back into into baseball's good graces. Won't let him in the Hall of Fame. And this is what I think: they ought to make Pete Rose wait as long as they've made Shoeless Joe Jackson wait to get in the Hall of Fame. Shoeless Joe still isn't there, and it's getting close to 100 years. That's when Pete Rose should be allowed in.
So eternity.
And then some. But that's what's on my mind.
I even brought my boy Shoeless Joe. We'll have to revisit some of that stuff. I'm glad I didn't talk to you guys about anything, because now I have nothing to say. Let me think. What's on my mind? Hey, we'll do some fundraising. Last chance. Mickey Hart Band, Mr. Smalls, on the 15th. That's Thursday. And yes, he was the drummer of Led Zeppelin there. Oh, wait a second.
Grateful Dead.
Yeah, sorry.
Dead,
I just threw the dead under the bus. I'm worried about my next one. Was Shorty from Animal Planet out in Bridgeville. They're having a fundraiser for the Western Pennsylvania Benevolent Foundation. They donate all the money to the fallen officers' families. It's a great thing. Check it out. It'll be on Bridgeville on the 22nd, 6 o'clock. And it'll be at the Smoke Cigar Shop and Lounge on 11830 3 1s and an 8, Washington Pike. You can't miss it there. There'll be a lot of publicity about it. You got another week and a half to go, so check that out. Then we had Bill Neal, the legend of Champion Enterprises, was on our show. He made it out to the South Hills to our hood out here.
There was a Bill Neal sighting in Dormont last night.
He had so much information and so many things, but the Connie Hawkins Basketball Summer Slam, you got to check it out. Can you get a close-up on it? I don't know if I can even put all the information out, but Savoy's one of their great sponsors. You got a lot of people coming there, great teams, great players.
There's basketball there, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
This has been going on for
40 years now, the champions.
That's
the
what
Connie Hawkins.
38th annual year. Matter of fact, my dad used to referee
Yes, he did.
these games. So he was out there, and I remember meeting Connie Hawkins, too. He shook my hand and my arm because he had huge hands.
Any chance
Connie
you're going to break
Hawkins.
your dad's whistle out of retirement?
I can't. It was in that glass encased refereeing. I don't think my sister and brother-in-law would let me crack that. And it's down in Jersey right now, but I'd love to bring the whistle out. We used to grab some of his older whistles, so he did play with that whistle there. Okay, what's on my mind? Whoa, one more thing. Pittsburgh Pride Boxing on August 24th.
Wow, that's nice.
Jose, the Puerto Rican Prince, was on last night telling us about it. I copied this myself from his own site.
What's the name of the boxing?
Pittsburgh Pride Boxing Show. He come up with this, what can I say? That is on August 24th. I don't see any rainbows, so I don't know. I don't know what these guys are talking about. There are no rainbows on this card. But you got Jose Carabello the third's fighting. Monte Everhart, one of Smoking Jim's favorite all-time amateurs.
Who's fighting Monte?
I don't know. You got Giovanni Cavalier. We like him also. Anthony Maggio, Nate Sands. Eric Cinder is going to be a guest on our show. I got permission by talking to his trainer. He had asked for permission. Then we got a special bout. We got the U.S. champion, amateur champion, Hugo Garcia is coming to fight the young man who's grown up right before our eyes, young Johnny Spells. So this is going to be one of the greatest nights.
Johnny Spells better buckle down.
Well, it's in Linden Gym. He's training right now. I think I saw him running all the way out here. So
that's good.
He's training. This is right in Sharpsburg, and it's on Linden Avenue and 11th Street there. So be there. Smoking Jim and I will be announcing the fight. We had an audition for Frank Mergent. He was there giving an announcement. You got to watch the intro to the Jose Carabello. It's unbelievable. And now what's on my mind is the Buccos. I believe they're going to win the division. They can do it. 2 out of 3 this series. Let's see what happens. Let's go Bucks. We're going to move forward now with the next segment. Let's revisit what Little Z said and all the guys here. First, I want to go with Pete Rose.
Yep.
When you sign a death sentence to yourself, you're not coming back. Who cares if baseball lied to you and they revealed what happened? That's what put him in a sour mood to begin with back then. He thought it was all in strict confidence. Well, guess what? He lied to them about so much, they threw it right out there in the public. And you remember, they put it out there and they weren't supposed to.
What I think, the reason I want to bring this up and the reason I'm so passionate about it is that there's a whole generation of people that don't realize the kind of human being that Pete Rose is. And, the caliber of the person doesn't necessarily, either make or break whether or not somebody should be in the Hall of Fame. One of the greatest baseball players of all time, Ty Cobb, was a truly detestable character.
Oh.
I mean, he was mean, he was nasty. I mean, but that all aside, he played the game right.
Actually on the field.
He played the game right. But Pete Rose was, my dad had a saying about Pete Rose, and I watched Pete Rose's entire. Yes, I can. My dad called Pete Rose a hot dog with all the fixings. He was just he was a hot dog from the day one. He was extremely arrogant, and he did everything he could to rub in everybody's face that he was Pete Rose and that he could do whatever he wants because he was Pete Rose.
Can I say this one thing?
I got something
Pete
too.
Rose is my favorite player of all time. Love him.
But I got something else too, though. But all they did was
just
they
trying to
prevented him from getting a bronze statue and going onto a piece of paper. But he's still allowed in the baseball stadiums. He still can bet on baseball. So you really didn't penalize Pete Rose technically.
But you know,
Psychologically.
because he is so egotistical that the only thing really that matters to him right now, and I heard an interview with him last week where is he wants to have that badge that says he's an active member of the Hall of Fame. He needs that to feed his own ego. And he said, he goes, what good is it going to be if they elect me to the Hall of Fame after I'm dead? I'm going to be dead. He wants to revel in that. And that's what, and the only way that you can hurt him is by taking away the one thing that he wants the most. And that's the price he's got to pay. And he signed the paperwork and said, I accept this penalty. But he did that because he thought, I'm Pete Rose. I'm getting over on them. I've done it before. I'm going to do it again.
Well, one thing I will say, you can't help with personalities, like you mentioned Ty Cobb. Well, just because Pete was like he was, it was exciting to watch a guy run from home to first on a walk and sometimes steal a base right away because they forgot to throw the ball back to even the pitcher.
The one.
So, they did go to second on a lot of those.
The one lasting memory I have about Pete Rose, and he did play the game harder than anybody,
yes.
was a 1973 All-Star game. It was played at Riverfront Stadium. And Pete Rose scoring on an outfield hit, rounded third base, and Ray Fosse, the catcher for the Cleveland Indians, at the time was standing there. He was not expecting Pete Rose to come barreling in and Pete Rose hit him like a linebacker hitting a quarterback on a sack. Flattened this guy and actually shortened the guy's career.
Well, his career was never the same. He wasn't concussed, but he did have a broken collarbone.
But you know what I mean? But the thing is, he played the game hard. Now, nobody plays that hard in an exhibition game, an all-star game. But that was just the kind of football player Pete Rose was.
But he did play that way the whole time.
Oh,
He
well,
never stopped.
hey,
He played multiple positions and became an all-star, which that's rare.
You're within the white lines. You
Right.
better be paying attention.
Right.
I don't think Shoeless Joe's ever getting in, and I don't think Pete Rose is getting in either. So.
Well, Shoeless Joe, you bring up a nice subject that you
Deserves-
guys
he
mentioned him
deserves to
twice.
go in.
First of all, the guy was not convicted of anything. There was no proof because they had a trial. They were innocent. It wasn't just in the movie. They wrote books about it. Now, whether he did accept money or not, they couldn't prove it. Judge Landis come in there to clean the game up. He was just a victim of circumstances, as the Three Stooges say. Because look what happened there. Other guys, they were banned too, and they weren't even involved in the so-called fix.
But, the thing is with Shoeless Joe Jackson is that he was he wasn't a very educated man. He grew up in the sticks
Right.
of whatever, either North or South
was his
Carolina.
mark, X.
He couldn't read or he couldn't write. He didn't know what he was doing. And the difference between him and Pete Rose is that Pete Rose knew exactly what he was
And
doing.
Shoeless had a great series, right? Didn't he?
Actually,
Yes,
he
he
had
did.
a record-setting series.
He only had a
Brilliant.
13 or 14-year baseball
that?
career, but his lifetime batting average, I believe, was in
really?
like
I'd
almost
say that.
340 or 350
Wow.
for his career. And those are Hall of Fame statistics right there.
Can I ask you guys a question? You guys may not be up to snuff on this, and you
I know
may
I'm
not
not
want
with you.
want to address it, but we don't like Roger Goodell, and Roger Goodell's making another mockery of the Pro Bowl game. It's going to be fantasy football, so you don't have to draft guys according to conferences. You can draft guys according to position and fantasy. So here's the problem that I have with it, is that the same team, the Steeler team, for example, they could be on opposite teams. And if you think back when Lawrence Taylor broke Joe Theismann's leg, can you imagine to have Lawrence Taylor or James Harrison or somebody like that, Woodley, going up against Ben, and you can hurt your own players. How can you play against your own teammates?
Well,
That's the stupidest thing.
They're not playing that All-Star game like Pete Rose played the '73 game.
But Jim, you know what?
Nice
That's
point,
an excellent
Little
point.
Z.
And you know what I think they
thanks,
should
Jim.
do? Because I think, the Pro Bowl is a joke. The players don't play.
Right.
I think Roger Goodell's trying to make something. What they ought to do is they ought to just take all the players' stats that they get elected for the Pro Bowl, Put them into the Madden game. Have everybody pick the teams and play a Madden game on the TV.
like that
and then you know
Chip
what?
for commissioner.
Then nobody gets hurt. You don't have to watch a joke game, and you know what? It'll be just as much of a fantasy as what he's trying to do.
Well, was it ever good in the 70s or 80s? Was
Never.
it ever good?
No.
'Cause
I don't watch them.
I can only go
I don't
back
know
to
what you're
80s.
talking about the game.
No.
So
They-
the
you know what,
football All-Star
it-
game is one of the worst All-Star games.
Well,
Yeah,
the thing that
absolutely.
was good back in the day was the college all-stars
That's a
would play
different story.
the NFL champions, and the college
That was a good game.
And the college all-stars one year beat the Cleveland Browns with Jim Brown when Dick Butkus, Roger Staubach, and Gale Sears played, and the Pittsburgh Steelers got beat by the college all-stars too. But and like I said before, some of the college teams could beat some of the NFL teams on any given Sunday, and I'll stand by that. And the records prove it.
So you're thinking like the Alabama Crimson Tide could beat the Jacksonville Jaguars on any given Sunday?
Well,
I wouldn't argue with you about that.
I know every college team has better special teams than the National Football League, because right now the Steelers is working on Jonathan Dwyer to go make tackles, and he ain't made a tackle since high school.
Like,
We'll
yeah.
revisit
Did I
Steelers.
not bring that up last week?
Yeah, you did. Where was smoking, Jim?
He went back and studied the film.
Did he?
And now I'm hearing, I don't know, on the way in, I was hearing that now they approved the HGH, and they're going to randomly start testing players. And I don't think that's fair. I think a lot of players got on HGH
You
because
gotta
they didn't
listen.
think that they
No,
was
no,
tested.
You gotta listen
How
to
about
Chip
Adrian
there.
Peterson?
No, what they're
You
doing
just
is they're going
fired
to test
Chip up
everybody.
right now.
They're going to test everybody this year to find out if the testing actually works. No players will be punished for using HGH this year. What it's going to happen is that'll start going into effect next year. So they're going to draw baselines from everybody so that they've got something to run a test against. You see what I mean?
Well, I think they just approved something on the way in today. So I mean, you may
We'll
check that
check
out.
it. We'll
Yeah,
check
check
it.
that
We
out.
all have HGH.
Yeah.
It's human growth hormone. Your body makes it. The vitamin catalogs, you haven't been.
Like
I
Yeah,
like that. That's why I
attention.
liked it. That's why I liked it. Okay.
Yeah, but that's just like
Your
the
body
the
does
test-
make it.
The testosterone level.
Not
But when it's
artificial.
when it's completely
Not
elevated,
synthetic.
beyond, the next thing you know,
We're gonna have a sports doctor segment.
That's
here.
what we gotta have.
Call in.
I want to
No,
learn.
we're going to have offensive
We gotta have
linemen
a
grazing on the field.
But Adrian Peterson came out and said that when people say that he's on the juice or on HGH, that he takes it as a compliment because that just means that he's just
Well, the
killing
nice part is he's wearing the same panties that Ray wore, the deer antler panties. Okay, that's what happened. So they don't consider it HGH. So they still might have something a little different, but check their panties. And now we're going to go to the SIPs. We're done with revisitation because we did a new segment. We did HGH testing. We did testosterone and deer antler panties. So maybe your hero Ray will bring them up here and give us a pair.
We'll get to see Ray flop on ESPN on a weekly basis.
Oh, come on, he can't be any worse than that one Sharp on CBS.
Yeah,
Shannon?
you guys. Now these are just the opinions of the guys here.
Shannon Short makes Bill Cowher sound like he's.
Oh yeah, Bill Cowher sounds like a well-educated
Yeah, I can
man
actually
that stayed at
understand
the Holiday
Cowher.
Inn.
Oh, that you're picking
Express.
on Smoking Jim's hero and friend. You're picking on all the wrong subjects.
all right.
Let's go to Sip Sports Bar now.
The
You
chick
guys
will
ran
get in.
off the reservation. These cards, I don't know what I'm doing. I got to read. Okay, that subject's going.
We're at
This
Sips.
one, that one.
We're at
Now we're at
Sips.
Sips. Hey, what a great night at Sips. We had a record-setting night, 15 guests. It was just unreal. We had from A to Z. If you look at the show, we had Alicia Sparks, and we finished up with little Z time. The graphics are just awesome. Thanks, Dave Cable, with doing it.
Love Dave
John was
Cable.
working on that video today, and he didn't censor us or anything, so it worked out pretty well.
We must be getting better.
appreciate. Yeah, we're getting better. So no censoring. We had Bill Neal come out from whatever he does on his Champion Network. He's everywhere. The legend. He was out to visit us. We had all the models from Bill Boyce, and I can't even remember them all. I'm talking too fast, but we had from Valicia, Kelly, Corinna, Christina. Who did I forget?
Sounds like a DMX song.
Well, I can't sing. They know that. Oh, by the way, I did get my hair cut. Thanks to Zazu, Mary Ann. Appreciate the haircut. I already had 4 compliments just on the show. And they weren't from all the guys here, but thanks. Go out there. Trivia night every Sunday night. Pittsburgh Sportsline night. Come early, get a seat. We're working on the sound system so the people at the front door can hear us. Mm-hmm. Tuesday nights, it's pizza night. Campiti's Pizza, 50 cents a cut. It's good stuff there. Wednesday night, it truly is Smokin' Jim, $1 drink, ladies' night. Guess who was there last week? Dan the Man told me all about Smokin' Jim there. Supposedly even brought a lady with him who will remain nameless. No, this was
he didn't step out with Brazil.
he said a very beautiful woman he brought there. And Dan has an eye for women there, I'll tell you.
Brazil's ugly?
Well, we've never seen her. Okay? We're still looking.
So she's still alleged?
Alleged, definitely. And then on Thursday nights, it's wing night. You guys got to come out because Smokin' Jim and I, we've eaten wings there, yes, more than a couple times. Friday night, they have entertainment. They have happy hour 4 to 7 all the time. There's free parking. Watch which side of the street. One's before 7, one's after, so you got both sides of the street. Saturday night, they have entertainment. Come out to Sip Sports Bar, 3024. Downtown Dormont, that's West Liberty Avenue. 15216. Great place. We had a great time. Now we're going to go to part 2. Part 2 of Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac with no interruptions by me.
We got everybody at Sips. I mean, we had a Frank.
No, I missed.
Frank did a little thing.
Frank
And
Merja.
We had a great,
I asked for help. I told you I was thinking so much I wrote some of it down, but I threw the card away because you guys ran all over
We had
it.
a special guest appearance by Frank Nicotero.
And that's a comedian
Exactly.
that's been on DVE
And
all
a
the time.
Pittsburgh native, and he has never forgotten where his roots are.
And guess what? We found
looks
out
like it,
he
too.
saw more games than Chip. He's seen over 1,000 Pirate games.
Yeah,
in person.
Yes.
Yes.
Sir. Whew. Yes. Sir.
Now, I've
bless
seen
him.
over 1,000 on TV and everything, just so I know, because sometimes I fell asleep as a young kid, having my bottle watching the Pirates, because they actually won. It was in black and white back then. 1960, they were champions. I don't know if you know
I
about
watched
that.
them win more in the 60s and 70s than you have you'll ever see in your life.
Sid Bream killed
And
it.
I went to more opening games than a lot of folks here, so no doubt. But hey, that's enough of that stuff.
Smokin' Jim.
Anybody else we
All right,
forgot?
Smokin'
Let's get
Jim.
to Fiction and Fact. Part 2.
Well, I'll try to be real.
No. Take your time.
Hey, we're going to jump right into my sophomore year. My sophomore year was a great.
Oh, I do have to interrupt you.
Oh, yes, sir.
You did start. Well, yeah, it wouldn't be me on the show. Did you say you were a starting freshman?
Yeah, 3
Did
days.
you?
3 days into camp, I got named starter. Yeah.
Okay, and you did play your freshman year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, you didn't give us any stats because you're a stat man.
Well,
Can you enlighten
this is
us?
Bush
Let him
this is-
talk.
Yeah, this is Bush.
He ignored the first year. He didn't listen to him.
No, this is Butch Ramsey stuff. This fiction.
this
is
isn't you.
all Butch Ramsey.
This is like an autobiography.
So anyhow,
Part of his book,
so
maybe.
anyway, I'll roll in and
Okay.
well, in spring ball of my freshman year, which we consider sophomore, I was voted team captain. And according to the coaches and the sports information director, I was the only true sophomore that was named team captain in the country in any level of football. So my sophomore year, thank you, sir. So my sophomore year, if anybody knows anything about college, most guys are crammed into the dorm, 2 to 3 people in a room, or they're in a fraternity or sorority, there's 100 people to a house. I was blessed with the nicest off-campus house, and I lived alone, and it was fully furnished. So a typical day for me after football seasons, because I ran track also, is I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I had keys to the gymnasium. So I would run for an hour at the gym, and then I would eat breakfast at 6 o'clock to 6:30. Then I would go home, shower, and then sleep until lunch. And then after lunch, I'd go to track practice. But anyhow, and then the coaches gave me a bag of footballs. I had a bunch of footballs in a duffel bag that I would take and catch in the evening in the gym. And Butch Ramsey, after his freshman year, sitting the bench, only a 190-pound nose guard. He asked me to help work him in at safety. So, he was really raw. and I didn't think he'd ever play, but he had a model girlfriend. I used to always say, wow, how's he get that girl? She was beautiful. But anyhow.
Don't tell us, please.
Anyhow, make a long story short, Todd Haley's uncle, Bob Haley, who was crazy. He was the defensive
Crazy Bob Haley?
He was crazy. He was crazier. He was,
He dressed better than Todd?
Same. I think they
Did he shave?
Same sweatshirts, yeah. But he was mania. He was an insane defensive coordinator. And he calls me into the office one day, and I guess he just knew I didn't have any day classes. And he says, watch this film. He says, watch this film. And Butch Ramsey played 4 plays as a freshman. And he was unblockable. He says, I'm going to play him at nose guard at 190 pounds. And sure enough, Butch Ramsey as a sophomore started as nose guard. He was All-American as a sophomore and a junior. And fast forward to his senior year, you guys know Dino's.
Yeah.
The sports bar.
This is what I've been waiting for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Dino's the sports bar over in Greensburg.
Mm-hmm.
Big one, huge.
Yeah.
Just Dino DiCario. He was a young guy too that was on that team, and he was playing behind Butchie. And we ended up getting an Italian coach that was a great football coach, and he didn't like Butch Ramsey, and he liked Dino DiCario. And Butch Ramsey's senior year, coming off of 2 back-to-back All-American teams, he started alternating Butch as a senior with Dino. And Dino was ready to play, but he couldn't play ahead of an All-American. And Butchie got mad, and Butchie quit. And and Butchie was one hard-working guy, but it broke his heart. And about a year later on, Butchie, I had a couple pro tryouts. I had blown out my knee my senior year, but I tried out for the Atlanta Falcons and Chicago Bears and flunked the physical. And Butch Ramsey calls me and asked me to play on the semi-pro team.
Wow.
And the first game was at the Penitentiary. Penitentiary was in the league.
A real one.
And they had won the league the year before, and I was fortunate enough to catch 3 touchdowns in the first half, and all I said was halftime was, thank God there's a penitentiary. And I took my uniform off at halftime. We'd beaten them about 50-0, but they were the dirtiest, cheapest guys in the world. Of course, they only had home games. And my second year there, and this is the conclusion, my second year, of course, Butchie was unblockable. He should have been MVP of the whole nation, but my second year there, we won a national championship. I was National Player of the Year. And we had on that team, we had a player from West Virginia that was a backup center for us, and I had no idea until recently. And our team photo of when we won the national championship was buried with him, and his name was Billy Mays. Billy Mays, the infomercial guy, would play for West Virginia. He played football, West Virginia University, and I never knew he was on the team. And I remember his dad now because his dad was at every practice, but I don't remember Billy.
Wow.
And I didn't make it to a lot of practices.
Of course.
but
Practice?
Was that Division 2 or 3?
Practice.
National champion.
Well, National Champions was actually a semi-pro team, but Billy Mays was on that semi-pro team, and Billy Mays had played at West Virginia.
Stone Rocks for high school?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure where he played.
He's from that end of town.
He played at West Virginia University as a linebacker.
I didn't know where you were going with this story.
So that was my fiction and fact, Smoking Jim.
There was so much fiction and fact there. That could be a book in itself. Thanks, Smoking Jim.
Woo! Never cease to amaze me, man.
Thanks, Jim.
We got to start writing this down.
We got it all on video. We got it on video.
Oh, that's right. It's unlike some other shows we've been on. All right, let's go to another favorite segment of mine, Chip's Trivia Time. What do you got for us tonight,
Trivia
Chip?
time. I've dug out some interesting pieces of trivia here. First, everybody knows about how much I feel about the pitch count and the fact that the Pirates have doubled their number of complete games pitched from this year to last year. Last year they had 1. This year they've got 2. Well, back in the days, pitchers would pitch with almost no rest, and pitching a complete game is just what pitchers did. But In 1906, Jack Taylor of the Chicago Cubs was chased by Brooklyn in the third inning, ending a streak of 187 complete games and 15 relief games that Taylor had finished without relief help. Now, that is what you call a true Iron Man.
Did you say how many pitches?
And not, 187 complete games. That's 9 innings.
Wow.
That's 27 outs.
Wow.
Also, this is just a little bit before Zach was born, but back in 1910, the Brooklyn Dodgers.
I know my beard.
No, but the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Pittsburgh Pirates played to an 8-8 tie, okay? Which is not very an impressive stat. But here's the interesting thing I found about this. Each team had 38 at-bats, 13 hits, 12 assists, 2 errors, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, 1 hit batsman, and 1 passed ball. Each team had the...
What's the odds of
How do
that?
you tie?
Wow.
Because they ran out of light.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like before the advent of electricity.
No, they had discovered, Ben Franklin discovered electricity, but they didn't have the light bulbs in the stadiums
That was
yet.
Edison.
Also, I got
No,
2
Ben
other
Franklin.
things, and I mentioned,
With a kite.
I mentioned,
I'll teach you about that.
one of the greatest pitchers
light,
from the Negro Leagues
electricity.
that finally made it to the major leagues. But Satchel Paige on this day in 1948
You know what? You
pitched.
copy
That is
stuff
some
that's so small.
small-
Where'd you get that paper?
Yeah,
text,
don't you worry. Pitched his first major league complete game against the Chicago White Sox. That was on August 13th, 1948. Satchel Paige was allegedly 42 years old at this
He
time.
was older. I think he was 6 to 8 years older.
Okay, then here's
Yes.
the last little interesting piece of trivia. This is something that happened in 1978. Okay, and I'll read from
Still
here.
BC.
Yeah, no, that's BZ before Zach.
I'm trying to promote Brenner contract. Darn.
Okay,
He
the
got
Baltimore Orioles benefited from the rainout rule. Okay, and the rainout rule was a rule that was in baseball that if you were in the middle of once the game had reached 6 innings. If you were in the middle of, say, the 7th inning and the game got rained out, they reverted the score back to what the score was in the 6th inning, and they called it a game. Okay, so if you were winning...
Really?
Right. So 1978, the Orioles benefited from the rainout rule. The Orioles were leading New York 3-0 after 6 innings, but the Yankees scored 5 runs in the top half of the 7th. Heavy rains ended the game in the bottom half of the inning. The score was reverted to the end of the last completed frame, giving the Orioles the triumph. This is what prompted a rule change in 1980.
Wow.
Okay, so
Sure, it's not
that's
fair.
absolutely not fair. But I thought that was an interesting little tidbit. And my last, and certainly not least, on this date, 1979, Lou Brock joined the 3,000 hit club.
Is that from the Pittsburgh Courier?
No, we did get information on the Courier. They can talk about other folks now.
So Lou Brock, one of the great St. Louis Cardinals of all time, he joined the 3,000 hit club,
that's something.
1979, and on that day he matched Roberto Clemente's career total because Roberto Clemente
Right.
got 3,000 base hits and not another one.
Exactly. And there you have it. Chips trivia time. A lot of great trivia. Well, now we might as well. You're not tired of talking, are you? Let's get the Pirate Bucko talk.
Pirate Bucko talk. Well, the Pirates brought up Andrew Lambert today.
Lambeau.
And they sent down Presley.
They set down Alex Presley, and you have to look at who they had options on. And actually, Lambeau is not in the lineup tonight. They started Jose Tabata because Jose Tabata has a career batting average of .460 against Adam Wainwright, who's pitching for the Cardinals tonight. But, here's what the kind of dilemma that the Pirates are in. They've got somebody who's severely underperforming as compared to his career numbers in Garrett Jones. And Garrett Jones will play first base. He can play right field. And they have been holding auditions all season long. Travis Snyder, he's proved that he was not your starting right fielder. Jose Tabata is not really the answer to our questions, as a right
Little
fielder.
slow.
And Alex Presley, I love the heart this kid has. He hustles like nobody, and he's probably a better defensive outfielder than he is an offensive. But we need that, that outfield position you need to get some production out of. And we're just simply not getting.
Yes.
So, even though Lambeau has been lighting up the minor leagues this year, and I'll take into account, he's got 31 home runs in the minor leagues this year. That's between AA and AAA, and 97 RBIs. And that's not even that's just slightly over like 3/4 of the season. Pretty impressive numbers, but there's a big difference in the kind of pitching he's going to see starting tomorrow, or maybe even tonight as a pinch hitter, than what he says. So, is this kid going to be the answer? I don't know. He's maybe somewhat of a defensive liability, but maybe if he brings something to the plate and can score some runs, you look at it this way. Bring him up. Find out what he can do because, what do we got to lose? We're in first place. It's not like
Can't they send him back down before August 30th?
They can send him back down and they can bring him back up. But see, to be eligible to play in the playoffs, you have to be on the active roster August 31st. September 1st, they expand the rosters to 40 men. Right now they're at 25. So, anybody that comes up after the 1st of September can play through the month of September and help you win a division title, but they can't help you in the playoffs.
Well, like right now, I would play him tonight, and I would have played him in the starting lineup for the simple fact, maybe he is a career minor leaguer. Garrett Jones, they thought he was. He had speed, he could hit, but it took him a long time to get out of the minor leagues. I think Lambeau's 25 or 26, and he's been in the minor leagues for a while doing this, but not going.
Some character issues.
Well,
who cares? Neil Walker had a character issue, and they brought him up. They said he didn't run out a ground ball. It was a fly ball, an infield fly that he didn't run out.
Lambeau had problems where he served a 50-game suspension. For substance abuse, and it was claimed to be marijuana.
I like him,
but here's the thing. There is one player sitting on the Pirates bench that's playing frequently, and I think it's kind of a disservice to him. I know the kind of player that Garrett Jones is, and I think Garrett Jones would benefit much more if they played him on a daily basis instead of only playing him against right-handed pitchers. For whatever they've gotten out of right field, they could put Gabby Sanchez at first base and put Garrett Jones out there and let him play every day. And he can't do much worse than what's been happening.
The only thing I think is sometimes when you're closer to the team, that they know some of these things on how bad the guy actually is. And we've talked about that before. Sometimes the coaches see.
What position now does Lambeau play?
He can play either corner position in the outfield, so that's right field, left field. He can also play first base.
Well, if he's in the outfield, I want to know if Lambeau can leap.
There's no. He spells a little different than the Lambeau leap that football guy.
I don't think he's built.
L-A-M.
He doesn't seem to be built like
This is L-A-M-B-O.
Ernest.
Yeah, and he listened to me about the Pirates should have 5 years that they're on some type of other substance. So he listened to me.
But you see, and also,
it's paying dividends.
The thing you're looking at here also is you're going to find out now whether or not Lambeau could play at the major league level. And you want to find that out because you've got another guy that's in the minor leagues right now that they think very highly of, and a lot of people have claimed that they feel that he's even a better athlete than Andrew McCutchen. That's Greg Polanco.
Really?
And Polanco could end up being in the outfield, and I think we're going to see this, if not next year, then certainly the year after, that you're going to see an outfield of Marte, McCutchen, and Polanco. And I think that would be the best outfield in baseball.
They refused to trade. They said pat.
Polanco?
I don't know. We're going to research.
I don't know. I can't
when he comes up, we'll see whether you watch more baseball or not.
He's already a training.
Speaking of baseball, I'll be there Friday and Saturday night this week watching the Pirates.
You gonna miss the Steeler game?
No,
I think we play
the
Monday.
Pirates play Monday. Steelers play Monday night.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
You didn't even know.
Redskins.
You're an NFL scout.
Redskins, yeah.
Well, the same night we at Sibs. Wow.
Yeah,
pack
RG3 won't
'em
be playing.
know
RG3 won't be playing.
We'll be packing them in. That's
I
for
didn't
sure.
even know that. Monday Night Football.
That's all right. We can handle it.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah,
We're
but
the pregame for the game.
But I heard a real sour comment that Tomlin was made this morning. He said, they had a great day of work at camp yesterday because certainly after watching the film of that game Saturday night, the Steelers had a lot to work on, and because of the collective bargaining agreement, and this is a conversation that Jim and I were having last night off the air. The collective bargaining agreement, Tuesdays is a day off, even in training camp. So they couldn't do anything today because the union and the owners, the union made this part of the deal for the CBA. And, Jim and I were talking, that with the collective bargaining agreement, you see how many mistakes were made Saturday night when the Steelers were playing. I mean, the special teams were just absolutely horrendous.
I mean, they were trying to throw punts. 3 at the 5, 6, fair catching. Like you let that ball go through their hands
but they can't practice. They can't hit. So when you're playing football, and Jim can attest to this, when you're playing football, you have to get conditioned to hit people and to be hit. And you get busted in the mouth and everything changes. So now these guys are finding out like, oh, wait a minute, this isn't like all playing football in shorts. This is real, and and I think that's hurting the players. You look at the list of players that are on the injured list, with season-ending injuries and everything, and I think there's going to be a lot more superstars that are going to spend the time on IR this year as a result of the
not hitting enough. So you're saying that they did this to preserve players, but you're actually saying it's having a negative effect by them not hitting and colliding.
That's what I'm saying. But Jim brought to my attention the reason why they're doing this. This is all a publicity ploy by Roger Goodell because he wants to make an 18-game season. So you see, because that's more important to him. And to be honest with you, after watching the way the Steelers played on Saturday night, they need all 4 preseason games to get it together.
Well,
I mean,
here I want to touch.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, but I want to touch on a point that don't these guys and kids play football their whole life? What changes in the pros? You don't catch a ball. You don't know how to make a fair catch. You don't know how to block. You don't know how to tackle. I mean, I remember I played high school football. They teach you that every day.
Yeah, but Alan,
I mean, how do you lose that? Like I see guys that don't even know when to call a timeout or when to run out of bounds, or they just want to try for an extra yard and they got 8 people on them. So how did it change?
You look at the old timers. You look at the old timers, and I'm a really firm believer. And I know Jim and I were joking about this about Allen Iverson in practice, but I do believe that you play the way you practice, and if you practice at half speed,
I disagree. I gotta agree to disagree because Franco Harris, they wanted to cut him. There's a Hall of Famer. They wanted to cut him and numerous guys. They cut guys off of the team that played on other teams.
Lazy as you can be.
I mean, I get fired up on that because I know even personally with some guys playing, there were great practice players, and they get in a game. They couldn't even play.
No man's land.
It's crazy. There is some truth to certain players, but again, I think it's the coaching staff has to check it out. So we'll agree to disagree on that one, especially with a Hall of Famer like that. Yeah. Franco, I remember when he was.
I sandbagged it in practice. I saved myself for the game. And why am I going to kill myself in practice? I got to be ready for the game.
I don't think the statute of limitations is over. Please, don't tell that with the team you played on. No, I'm kidding.
But I got to agree with Chip on that one. I really believe you, for the most part, you practice the way you play. And,
depending on, I'll just say, depending on the position. Or my position, it was so.
We're disagreeing with you too.
And that's fine. And that's fine.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
That's all right.
Lean Z.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I feel strongly about that, and I respect the fact that you feel strongly the way you do.
Well, here's what I say.
It's all good.
When we were talking about negotiations, and I told you there'd be compromises, that's why you got something stupid like a Tuesday day off. Because here, they have a list. Here's how they negotiate. You have 15 points, Z. You got 15, Jim. What do you want? Okay, scratch this because we're never going to agree. Okay, we'll take these. Players' health, their safety. Tuesday, they're going to be off. Who in their right mind would take you out of training camp in the middle of it?
Well, the thing that kills
That's a compromise.
You got 6 months off, and you got 3 days of camp, and you get a day off.
The only point is that's what compromise. You can't even blame the players because you had the owners
how
on
about
the other
this,
side.
In that collective bargaining agreement, does it stop them from going out in the parking lot and putting on their pads and hitting each other?
Yeah, they're not allowed.
It prohibits them
They're not
altogether.
No, they can't do it on because.
Can they go to the high school down the road and work out on their own individually?
No, because in their contracts and everything, it has to be with the team under with coaches and everything
you can't
else.
use the team's equipment. You
Right.
know what I mean? Because otherwise,
That's what I
it would
mean.
be,
Go down the road
it
to
would
a
be
high
the
school.
team.
No, you cannot
It
even
would
use
be
other
the team would be
people's equipment.
actually be allowing them to do that, which would be in
This is
violation
why
of the
I
agreement.
tell you that compromises create a lot of chaos. And that's why when people are posturing, like, look at the concussions. They're not cutting down. They won an 18-game season.
I'm pretty sure Brett Favre went down the road to Mississippi to a high school and just played catch with the kids and still stayed sharp, even if he couldn't play on a Tuesday at practice. You know, they can't stop you.
From pitching and catching there.
Yeah, they can't stop you, or from running up and down steps. Or
Well,
from
you're
lifting.
allowed to stay in
But-
shape and work out on their
But
facilities.
Take into account these guys are all corporations and they have multi-million-dollar contracts. You go and do something like that and injure yourself, then your contract becomes null and void. You are no longer a corporation. So
The
you know,
game has
there's-
changed.
It,
That's how
it certainly
is.
has.
And when you compromise, look what you get. It's not always exactly what you wanted or Jim wanted. You guys got two different opinions. You're the players, he's the owner. Look what he did. And that's our Steeler talk. You got any opinions on the Steelers, Smoking Jim? We
we're
usually
still
go to
waiting
the
for your record release. For
Yeah.
what their overall is going to be.
Yeah, I
for
told
the
you
season.
guys last week. See me in December.
Whoa!
If you guys want to hear my record release, is coming soon. Sunday at 4 o'clock, I will be a special guest. I forgot to mention it on
Well, tell us.
KDKA Radio 1020
Chris Moore.
at 4 o'clock, and I've been on about a year sabbatical for some reason, so you may not hear me.
What's the
after
phone number?
Sunday.
What's the phone
I don't
number?
know. I have to text
Hold
it
it.
to
I
you.
think I got it from last time.
So
That's
tune in.
KDKA AM.
AM. So tune in because yeah,
Wow.
I never know when they're gonna pull the plug
They still
on me
talk
again.
sports on 1020 AM.
Not all the
If you
time.
want to know something, KDKA 1020 AM, you can hear that in downtown Cleveland.
Wow, that's amazing.
Now, that was,
You know
the,
what?
that was the
Your
original
friend-
radio
It was.
station.
It was.
Yeah, your
Even
friend
I didn't
know
Alicia
that.
can
I
hear
didn't
it.
know that.
She can hear it in Ohio.
The-
Your
She
co-host.
The
raised
Midwest
such a great
princess.
young little guy, man. He's such a well-behaved little guy. He sits there and doesn't bother anybody, doesn't give her no grief.
GR3,
GR3.
little GR3,
Yeah,
and he
that's
had a baseball, a
The
soccer, a
kamikaze kid
football.
hooked him up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
Did
we
he?
forgot
Yep.
about the kamikaze
Wow.
kid.
Can never forget about the kamikaze kid.
Another Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he was. He was there in attendance last night. Always a pleasure to see him.
It was a great crowd there, I'll tell
And
you.
it'll
You got to
be
come
great.
up the sips.
It'll be great when they finally broadcast through the whole place.
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
can
so
hear
everybody
everything.
can be, a
They're working on
participant.
it.
They can hear it.
They didn't realize everybody wanted to listen to
Well,
us.
they didn't know that we were going to pack the place.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Hey, any closing remarks? Little Z, what else do you got going on there? Any more Charlie Batch sightings with fishing?
Hey, Chuck Batch was spotted at the football game on the sidelines. I told him just stay ready, stay loose. Anything can happen. So, what I've seen from Landry Jones and the fourth string, Chuck Batch might be back.
Good point. Good point.
And-
Thanks, Z.
And I want to say congratulations and good luck to a good friend of mine, former Pitt record holder Rod Rutherford. He's interning this summer with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I don't know if the interns get Tuesday off, but Rod's up there.
That's
doing
not
a
in
nice
the
job.
CBA.
And Rod's also going to be playing in the Connie Hawkins Classic with.
Yeah, it was
Bill
announced.
Mills.
Wow.
Remember he said that last
Yeah,
night.
he
did.
He told us that he was
Wow.
going
He
to
did.
be playing in that.
Wow.
I like Rod.
I
He
did-
was a great quarterback.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I was trying to see what times he has. Chip, what else do you got there, buddy?
Nothing. I'm looking forward to the series against the Cardinals. The Pirates are.
Where's your
yeah,
seats
look,
at?
Charlie
Where's your
Morton.
seats?
You,
You got
didn't
better
tell us
seats.
Charlie Morton's pitching tonight. Oh man.
Charlie Morton. You know what? We're coming up to the end of the show, but I'll talk to you more about Charlie Morton next week. But I'm looking forward to this. The Pirates taking at least 2 or 3 from the St. Louis Cardinals, coming back home and keeping it rolling against the D-backs this weekend.
I hope so. I'm with you there. I'm drinking that Kool-Aid. I'm on the front seat of the bandwagon, so I appreciate it. Hey, again, John, thanks for the camera work. Devin Shea's in there in the control room. I know he's keeping us aware of the time, down to 25 seconds. Erin Ward, thanks again. She didn't know what day it is. It is Tuesday. She just did a triple shift, so she's just awesome out there. And she'll be with us in boxing on August 24th at the Linden Gym, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching our show. Thanks for a lot of the great feedback. Like seeing you out in the community. And we need more likes. Pittsburgh Sportsline Facebook. We need 500. Thanks, guys.